deliciously motivated mindset chit-chat between me, Moira, and dearest Deb here. Hey, Deb.
Hey. I love that you go, chit-chat. That's exactly what it is. It's a chit-chat.
We chit-chat.
Recorded. Yeah.
Just sitting down, having a wee cup of tea and putting the world to rights with our opinions.
And by goodness, our opinions are right.
Oh, well, maybe not, though.
Yeah. Okay, I'll humble myself before everyone goes, what?
What is she talking about?
Yeah,
I'm really excited about our conversation today because it's something that any coaching client of mine knows that I talk about this, that I think we all need to be spiritual detectives. It just brings up fun imagery, don't you think? Spiritual detective.
Well, it actually just brought up Pink Panther, a little bit of Pink Panther there too. I'm not wearing any pink today.
Song. I can hear the theme song in my head.
At least we're consistent. Yeah, spiritual detective being the Pink Panther, but instead it's a Moira and Debz one.
Yeah. But you know, Deb, before we get into our conversation, we like to check in with our listeners and do this for ourselves to just check in. This is actually part of spiritual detective isms. Is to check in. How are you doing? Check in on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being like totally on top of your game, totally in alignment with your purpose, with your emotions, with your thoughts, your mindset, and 0 thinking, OMG, I'm supposed to have what in order? And so just to put yourself, just breathe into this moment and see. Give yourself a number from 0 to 10. So Deb, we've had a chit chat before. I keep saying chit chat. I don't want to keep doing that.
Chit chat. Well, we have there's biscuits called something. Are they chit chat biscuits? Do you have those? Your chocolate coated biscuit? Chit chat. Okay. Distraction. Where am I at? Well, I've still got a little issue niggling over in my head, and my mind. So that's throwing me off because I can't put that whole pinpoint finger on it. Right. So I would say I'm probably 4 or 5 purposely for that. Everything else is really in flow and great, which is sitting at a 8, 9, 9.5. But that one little niggle, I just can't put my pinpoint, my finger on it. So I would say that's a 4, taking me right down just because of that one little glitch.
Yeah, I get it. And we move. We like throughout a day we can move, between 0 to 10. We can not necessarily. Well, we don't leap from one to the other usually. But for myself, I think I'd put myself around a 7, I think. There's room for improvement. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm dealing with some stuff and just, little conversations going on in the background. But it's just to have that awareness. So this is the thing this can help us move into, and just to finish that off. So we are just encouraging our listeners to just make a note. Where are you? You can write it down. Think of a number. We've said 7 and 4/5, and we'll check back in at the end of our conversation. But
if we remember it.
Of course we will, because we're spiritual detectives.
Yeah, that's the one. I was about to write it down. Okay.
Oh. So, when I talk about being a spiritual detective, that there's an ongoing question I actually have all my clients ask themselves, and I do this myself, this question is, how do I feel about myself here? So here being in this situation, in this potential, in this possibility, and just allowing it to be. But where the detective part comes in is to be the sort of unconditional witness to what comes up. What emotions come up when I say to myself, how do I feel about myself here? Does that make sense, Deb?
Yeah, it does. And it's quite an interesting one because it really brings up a lot of thought process. And I think the thing that we tend to do is we go, things are too hard, so we don't want to discuss stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you're actually just stopping and reflecting, take that moment to breathe, take in, ask yourself those quality questions and seek the answers, because that's where we do get our greatest amount of growth on what's important to us.
Exactly. But don't you find too that it's really important to hold space for ourselves to be open to what happens? I don't know about you, but there are times where I can have my head will tell me, oh, in this kind of situation, this is how I'm going to react. And then I get there and I react completely different. Now, being completely...
That's because we overthink.
Yeah. We tend to overthink, but you know, it's not only that we overthink, we actually are often operate under the falseness that our head is going to figure things out, that our thinking process is going to figure it out, and it doesn't.
Well, our past experiences filter into our mind, and because of that filtering system, that's when we go, oh, this happened last time I went to so-and-so's house, or this is the last time I did this. And that's that BS story that comes in and creeps in, that we allow again to control or manipulate or stimulate in a negative way of shite's going to happen again.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, that's the other really, really important part about this. I love that you brought that up about the getting stuck in your head about, well, the last time I met this kind of person, or I was in this kind of situation, this is how it went. So therefore it's going to go that same way. But here's the other part about this idea of being a spiritual detective is we are creating absolutely everything in our experience.
Absolutely.
And so how on earth can I say just because it went this way the last time, it's going to go this way this time? Well, number one, if I do say that, I will make it happen because I'm creating that.
Well, I'm conditioning my mind to be certain and have certainty that that's always going to happen that way. That's a given.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to my mother-in-law's, this is what happens every single time. And you're just repeating that story over and over. Just for the record, I don't have a mother-in-law and I don't think like that. So just say that. And if I did, I would deal with that very quickly. I'd use all the tools I've got. But we're certain this is the way it is every single time. And we become so fixated on that there's little room for improvement that can flip our mind, because when we're so ingrained in black thinking, and I'm not saying black and white thinking, but we're so ingrained, we're not grey to see both sides equally. We're so ingrained in that black or white thinking that there's not even there's a glimmer of a little percentage that we can wedge in there, you know, and that's you want more of that to see both sides of everybody and everything that goes on, and it's not as quote bad as what we think.
I know, and because that's the whole piece is in this idea of walking through your life as a spiritual detective, understanding that it's like an evolution, right? So it's being this interested investigator of what's going to happen now. Oh, yeah. Sit with your emotion and feel through it, because you know, back to this I was saying about the situation that I've come through, where I felt like I was going to deal with it in a certain way. And that actually was not based on anything that I had gone through before. I had just felt, you know, I feel this is how I feel. But then as I immersed myself in the situation, I was like, wow, look at all these tender emotions that are coming up. And I had to be with them. And that's what I think is the important part, is to not say, oh, I shouldn't feel like this. You know what will people say? And they don't. These people over here aren't reacting in this way, right?
And well, the thing is, you can't stop the way other people react to what you say or do.
No, that's right.
You cannot, you can't control, manipulate, whatever you want to label it as. You can't stop. You say, okay, here's just a loose scenario. The woman goes to the man, and I say the woman goes to the man, I'm going out tonight. Do I look good in this? Or do I look fat in this? Now, because I'm sure we've all said it. And that is a loaded question. That is a loaded and it's loaded with pom-poms and all the lights. Now the partner goes, oh my God, you do. They're thinking that, but it's not the nicest you're wearing, but doesn't want to say that because they know the whole impact of that. And the person is saying that question for reassurance, but in reality, the person actually already knows that answer, because if they're asking that question, they want confirmation that they look good, when really they don't, because you're already asking that question. But it's just so loaded that person then goes yes, and the person's going to react, or no, and that person's not going to think they're being truthful. So you don't know what someone's going to say or the whole reaction or what it is. But when we ask a question, we actually just want confirmation to ourselves that we're on the right path.
Yep.
And I think that's the key, is actually we already know these answers and what it is, and we don't need that confirmation from other people to tell us what to say or do, or we've already got that within us. So if we're saying that and then they react, then that's their stuff. That's not our stuff. Or, God, I wouldn't go out looking like that, or whatever. And you've got friends who are truthful and you've got friends who aren't truthful. And sometimes the partner or the person may necessarily say, well, we're already 3 hours late. Yeah, sweetheart, you look amazing.
Yeah.
Just to get out the flipping door, because we're 3 hours. Yeah, exactly. But you don't know what that impact is on everybody, or what's going to be said or done. And you can't say things worrying about what that other person's going to say to you. You just have to speak freely from your heart with no expectations. Now that is really hard.
It is.
That even as a trained person myself and yourself, it's really hard to say things without not knowing what's going to have the ripple effect of it. But if you're not true to yourself and not saying your own truth, you're buggered, anyway.
You are, and that's a really good point, because so for me, I would always go to the place of holding space, and if in your example, if I looked at somebody and go, oh gosh, they do really look fat, or that is something that I wouldn't, I would somehow frame it in a way that could land for them, that maybe there's another option, or how do they feel? Because really, if they're looking for confirmation, I can't give it to them if I don't like it. So
Well, and you can't lie. I'm a firm believer on you can't lie. No, that's why my friends sometimes don't ask questions.
That's right. Yeah, don't ask questions if you're not available
prepared for that answer.
Yeah, if you're not available for the person to say no, it doesn't suit you, or it's not your color. Yeah. But to your point, I really like what you were kind of saying there, that really, if you're asking the question, you already doubt it. And in essence, and this is a bit of detective idea, is that in essence, you are not trusting your own self. And then when the person reacts, or their response is, no, you look awful in it, or you look overweight, or whatever it is, that's actually a reflection of what's going on in you.
And then you blame that person.
And then you blame them.
How dare you say that? Da, 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 da. And it's like, well, you asked the question. Like, you already know. And I mean, it's funny, but not funny. A lot of my clients get frustrated with me. They'll say something and I'll go, so what do you think? And they'll go, no, I'm asking you. And I'm like, I know you're asking me, but what do you think? Because I can give you my opinion, but what I do is I'm not here to give you your opinion. I'm here to pull out what's your inner voice, and let's build from that. And if I'm giving you my opinion, then you're never going to make decisions in life.
Yes.
You're going to keep coming running to me about, do I think I should do this? Do you think I should do this? Do you think, what do you think? Look, work out the pros and cons to it. What's your calling? And I call it a train. We get on a crazy train, and there's different levels of the crazy train, and the carriage wobbles. But when we're moaning about somebody, or we're having a biatch and we're groaning about someone, or a gossip, whatever, we're just trying to get people onto our crazy train. We're trying to get people to confirm who we are as a person, and that they're wrong and I'm right, and and we do get that there. But in reality, when you sit present and you're sitting in your heart, and you are doing your old spiritual detective, and it's sitting in your calling, that you already know the answer, you don't need people on your crazy train.
No.
Sometimes you have to offload things to say to people, okay, this is my issue. Can you help me out? Can you pull it out of me? Because I can't figure it out. that's okay. You're not getting them as confirmation on your crazy train. You're just getting someone to help you and guide you along and make sure the carriage is stable before you make your decision on what you do.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense? Does that
Well,
make
it
any
does,
sense?
because that brought up a whole bunch of different illustrations of that. Is that I think that in as a practitioner, for myself and for you, our duty to our clients, if you like, is to hold space for the crazy chain, crazy making, blah 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 stuff to come out, but then to hold space for them to kind of go, oh, look at that piece. Oh yeah, that one fits. That one makes sense. I'm keeping that one. But not necessarily have to keep the crazy making stuff, right? That's why people like me and you are around, is that we have to keep doing our work, and we have to keep being this detective of like, oh, isn't that interesting? I just got triggered on something. And then we go and do our work. It's never your fault. It's mine. There's something came up that this is time for me to deal with it.
I've got that, my goosies. Goosies. It's never your fault. It's mine.
That's
and right. I think that's it. And when you say things aloud, out your head, instead of just milling them over and over, when you actually hear your words come out, you go, oh, that didn't make sense. Or listen to me. Oh, that's just crazy. Why did I think that? Like, that's just... And I encourage people, when they have thoughts, if there's no one around, to actually write pen and paper and write it down, because instead of typing it into your phone, onto your notes or something like that, when you write, your brain just thinks, differently from when you write to your hand and you write it out, and then you read it aloud, and then you go, oh my God, that's absurd. Why was I thinking like that? Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
Absolutely. It's said by the PS, it's said that when we handwrite, that's a direct connection to our heart energy. That is a really important part. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, I know it changes the neuroplasticities in your brain. I know that, but that's even cooler to go straight to your heart. Mm-hmm. And I encourage people to, like, I'm a big firm believer on phone. I'm a big firm believer on phone, typing in my notes and everything. But I do know pen and paper has a different kick in my world.
And I agree with you. So I sit with my journal every single morning, pen and paper, and write it out. And you wouldn't believe how many epiphanies or pieces that I come, and you'd be writing along saying, I feel like crap, I feel pissed off, I feel whatever it is that you're feeling. That's how I always start a journal entry, is I feel.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the page, I have the clarity on it. The guidance is like, oh gosh, look at that. Connected the dots, or the inspiration, the intuition, the answers, the clues were all there, and I put them all together with this handwritten passage, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing, is just to have that path that we can do, that we can connect, and we can have our realizations from.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. But this too is like whatever works for you, but it's also to have a sense of ease and acceptance.
Yeah.
Because like I said, there is times where I'm going to say, yeah, I'm triggered right now. And the other part I wanted to say, to circle back to what you were saying about the crazy train, there are times that I can think of in interactions with my husband that we'll have an exchange or some kind of conversation, and I'll walk away from that and think, oh, it's not quite what I needed. And then if that is the case, I go away, because like I said to you, those reactions or that sense of trigger is mine, and I need to go away and sit with it. And sometimes it's like 10-15 minutes later, I'm in a place where I can go back and say, can you hold space for me for a minute while I work something through, or while I go and spew it all out? Because to your point, and I think this is very true of most women I know, that we figure things out just by allowing it to ramble out of our mouth, and then you kind of speak it all out and you go, oh, there it is. Or that's all I needed to do, was to have that emotion be seen or heard, or those beliefs kind of come out of me, and then I'm good.
Yeah, and I think, and it is, and it's just that hearing it. As soon as you, whether you offload to somebody who's going to pull you back into line or go, that's just absurd or whatever it takes. But as long as you can hear your words, and then go, oh, that didn't sound like it was intelligent, or oh, why did I not think of that? There's another option to that. And I think that's the other stuff, is just to go, oh, okay, I get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just an acknowledgement, non-judgmental, neutral place, because we've talked about that before. I firmly believe that we cannot change anything until we accept what it is. So if I accept I'm being triggered by this situation, or I'm really upset, or I'm feeling griefy at this situation, or out of control, or whatever it is, if I accept that, now I can do something. I can change my mind. I can change the energy around it. Right?
Yeah, and I think the thing is having that no expectation. So it's accept with no expectation of an end result, which is really hard to do, to go, okay, well, I just want to have a resolution. It's like, well, actually, no. If it's going to take you a minute to find this answer, or if it's going to take you 5 hours, then so be it. Just know that the answer, have trust, faith, belief, whatever you'd like to put it, that the answer is going to come when the time is right for you, not when you're desperate, not when you're screaming, I need an answer right now, because desperation, you just, jack shite gets done in desperation space. It's just crazy.
There you go.
Everything.
That's a good point, though. I think you're completely right. I think that when we get that sort of hyper, it's got to happen now, it's got to happen right now, we actually keep it away from ourselves. Right.
Well, nobody's going to reward you when you're desperate.
No.
Yeah.
But even that,
when you're in the tornado.
in the tornado. But you know what? Even if the answer was right in front of you, you may not be able to see it, because you've got, like, you're so stuck on the show it to me, spoon feed it to me, give it to me. Right.
And when you get it, this is the funny thing. When you get it, you go, oh, I thought about that earlier, but threw it out. Oh. Or someone goes, what about this? And you're like, oh, I thought that 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, hadn't thought it. Like, yeah, I remember having that conversation with myself. And then you just want to slap them. Like, you know, but because they're on that crazy train derailing themselves, you don't see it, and you don't often see it.
Yeah.
But the answers are always there for everything. Absolutely. When you're ready, and when you're present and sitting in your heart. And one day you may use this out of your toolbox, another day you may use another. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same tool that you're going to use every day, but what works for you today may not work for you tomorrow. And it's all down to your environment, what you're eating, what you're sleeping, what are you feeling like yourself, the people around you, who you are as a person, what's going on, you know, all your chaos and everything. And decisions can be made quicker or slower. You don't know, you know, what's happening.
It's all about compassion here, isn't it? It's and everything that we've just been talking about right now, it's all about get out of your head. Gotta fire that thinking mind that says, I have to have it here. It has to look like this. The answer has to look like this. You know, the clear path through must be like this, and blah, blah, blah. Because it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. And so it's by all means have set an intention, have an idea of what you want it to look like, but then be open to see what happens. Right? That's that Joseph Campbell quote, is the be prepared to let go of your life so that you can experience the one you were destined to, something like that.
That sounds nice. There's a thing that we say, and it's not, the universe delivers not what you want, it delivers what you need.
What you need, yeah.
And I want this, I want to win lotto, but no, you're going to have money's going to come in another form or whatever. Do you have lotto over there? As I say lotto?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We just had a lotto lottery. Yeah. We just had a thing where there was 50 million.
Oh, wow.
Up for grabs. Yeah. So there was more people ever bought lotto, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, why are everyone's jumping on the crazy train because there's a chance of them having 50 million, you know, and you have money that way, or short-term, you know, sugar ability. But it is, you're either it's going to come in a form, not what you want, but it's what the universe can see that you need. And that's the hard part of allowing to know that what comes in is actually perfect for you right now.
Right. But the other thing too, and this, like, the sort of concept we're talking about today is this spiritual detective part. But I also think it's really important to have a sense of lightness, a sense of play, a sense of you get to play this game of life. And by all means, you can say, win the lottery. That's going to fix all my problems. But there's nothing wrong with saying I'd like to bring in
it's going to bring in a shite load more problems too, because if you're going to win 50 million, then you're going to have people who were your boyfriend or girlfriend from when you were 10 years old at school who's going to come out and say, you destroyed my life, you left me, I've never been in a relationship since I was 8, I want some compensation for that. And that's what happens. And family members who you've never spoken to come out of the woodwork. I'm entitled to this. What? Huh? I haven't spoken to you for 40 years. No.
All I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with having that aspiration, but then get busy on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And where I'm coming from, the idea that had landed in my mind when I started this idea was, this is from Abraham Hicks' law of attraction ideas, where they're very much into games. Let's play a game. So manifesting and creating that abundance or that prosperity, wouldn't it be nice? And that is the game. The game is, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to have $2,000
that's a cute one.
in my hand? Wouldn't it be nice to? And it's just, you see that it is cute. It's fun. Wouldn't it be nice?
It is. It's a different thought processing on things.
But it's fun. It's uplifting, and it's not like you're just sitting there staring at a wall saying, "Wouldn't it be nice?" It's like,
to me, it's not greedy.
Exactly.
And greedy, desperation, those things, you're going to manifest more chaos into your life when you're in that state. Whereas if you go, oh wow, wouldn't it be fun if I won 50 million? What could I give back to society? What could I do to build my business, to give back?
Absolutely.
And even just saying that, I could feel the blood go through my body differently into going, oh, I'm entitled to that 50 million. I've never won anything in my life. You just feel different, and it's an internal giving back instead of a greedy, desperate.
Yeah, but it's
a service.
It's a service to others. That's exactly what I was thinking. That's being a service to others, as opposed to it's all about me. That needy, desperate, that's all about me. It's, my needs above everything else, above anybody else. That's never going to work. It might work in the short term, but like you just said, it's going to give you a boatload of other stuff to steer through. Whereas if you can be uplifted.
Entitled.
Yeah. But the truth is, I do think that if we align with our divinity and really get into the fact that we are all divine beings creating this experience that we call life, then it is that we're entitled, not from that egotistical.
There's different levels of entitlement. There's the heart entitlement that I'm serving and I'm giving, which is different to the if I pay for your service, you are to be there blood and bone type thing.
Yes.
There's a different level of entitlement that we're talking about.
Yeah, and I get that. That's very, like I said, that's an ego-based entitlement. That one. Yeah. Right? It's like, and that's a bit like we all have an inner right to be unconditionally loved. We all have to love ourselves unconditionally because that is our birthright. But if we disown that or decide we can't do that, and we go around saying, because that'll be like a driver for us, right? That I need to feel unconditionally loved and accepted. So will you do it? So we look to other people outside of ourselves to do that.
External.
Yeah. But then, of course, as soon as that happens, that's how dysfunctional relationships happen, right?
Yeah. Well, you're seeking things that are not with that you see. You're seeking things that you don't see within yourself. where I can love myself for that. So I have to get into a relationship to be happy.
Yes.
I have to get into a relationship so that they can fix my money situation because they can move in with me and pay half.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get into a relationship because this, and this. Like I need a baby daddy for my I'm a single mum or whatever it is, or I need a woman or whatever to cook and clean. It's so categorized. Cook and clean.
But those are all conditions. Check them all out. They are all conditions.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was saying to you, is a person who cannot accept and love themselves and does what any of those roles that you just said, they have just opened up the door to saying, yeah, sure, I'll be your cook and bottle washer, or I'll be your baby daddy, or I'll be your whatever, fill in the blank. Yeah. But here's what you got to do for it. Here's what you got to do for me. And that's what I mean about a dysfunctional or an abusive relationship starts right there.
Yeah.
Right there. And that can be done with blink of an eye without even really paying attention.
And that's an obligation, but it's actually bigger than an obligation. Mm-hmm. That's a ruling, a condition.
Yeah. So that then totally derails us from that right that we do have at the core of the unconditional love.
Yeah.
Because we've got this obligation or these conditions put in place. But then, that piece, that part that has that right within us, it's still looking, saying, where is it? I thought this was my birthright. So even in that, to me, that creates so much inner conflict.
Yeah, and that is where you've dropped the ball on your spiritual detective.
Exactly.
That is literally where the Pink Panther ain't getting through.
Yep. You drop the magnifying glass. He's not coming for you.
And it's shattered into a million pieces, because when that is shattered into a million pieces, it's hard to pick up and see the bigger picture on things.
Yeah. And all it was, you're right, that is the point where the magnifying glass got dropped. And really the only way to get through that is to come back to, you need to unconditionally love yourself. Everything about yourself, all of it.
Yeah.
And that connection start again, right?
Yeah, which is incredibly hard. And I'll just say that because you have the most beautiful woman in the world, and I think of the Victoria's Secret models, the most beautiful woman in the world, and then they go, oh, I can't eat that fat, or I'm gonna, and you're like, what? Like, that's absurd for the other type of people. But everybody has their own issues in who they are as a person. So when we say love yourself unconditionally, love your body, love your mind where you're at, love your money situation where you're at, everybody compares ourselves to a million other people. But even the people who are, and I'm not saying those women are perfect, but I look at their bodies and go, wow, you seriously, you can't eat that because you think you're going to get fat? Oh my gosh, I'll show you what fat really is. I've even had this discussion with my daughter, and she goes, oh, I couldn't do that, or now back in the day, and I'm thinking, sweetheart, you've got an 8-pack of abs, really? Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, seriously, I'll show you my body. But I mean, we all have that stuff. So to unconditionally love yourself for all of it, it is a challenge, and it doesn't matter how much soulful you are. We all have that stuff, and we will always have that stuff, but it's just when it comes in, you're healing it and sending it on its way as quick as you possibly can, so it doesn't come in and attach to you like a leech and just keep sucking the life out of you each time.
Absolutely. And this is the thing about being the detective, though, because you just said it's hard. I really challenge you to watch how you label it, because if people say it's hard, it will be.
Well, it doesn't have to be. It's actually recognizing it. But I'm saying to people, I'm framing that for that benefit of, so people can see that it. Once you start changing your patterns, and once you start recognizing, because it's about recognizing and going, oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. And then using whatever tool in your toolkit and sending it on its way.
Yes.
But if people are comparing themselves to others, you don't want that leech to latch onto you and weigh you down.
Yeah.
So when you see that come in and you go, oh, I've put on a bit of weight, or oh, my finances aren't how they used to be this time last year, or my business is not flowing, or my relationship, my partner and I are not communicating like we used to, or any of that sort of stuff, to stop and go, okay, this is one of those leeches that are holding on to me. Let's stop and use my spiritual detective. Yep. I can see this. I can recognize this. Now, what tool do I need in my toolkit, or my backpack or handbag or whatever, and use it and send it on its way with love.
Absolutely, because that is communicating to yourself that you are worthy of your own taking on the role of the detective. What is that leech or that little weight that came in on you? What is it? And here's the other part too, in that, is that as these detectives, if we could come at those kind of situations and say, there's a gift in here. There's always a gift in here. In any kind of hardship, there's a gift. Sometimes it takes a wee while of being patient and being nurturing and loving to ourselves before we go, oh, look at the skill set I developed from that situation, or the awareness I developed, or the wisdom that I got since I went through that situation, or that relationship, or whatever it was. Yeah. And so this is something that I really encourage people to land into a sense of trust. And trust is about knowing that all is well at a very, very deep level, understanding that every situation that we're in, we can get through. But sometimes that's all we know in some of the heavier ones, or the more hard situations to come through, right?
Yeah. I think we tend to forget that we in the past have survived chaos.
Yes.
We've survived a birth, or we've survived a death, or we've survived a breakup of an intimate relationship or a business relationship, or we've been on the bones of our butt with our money situation, and we've survived and we've got through that. And then it's about appreciating what are those lessons or those blessings of that, so that you're not fearful of it happening again. Exactly. And you can see that, oh my gosh, actually when my so-and-so passed away, I actually opened up an amazing conversation with my partner about, let's make sure we've got our wills in place, or all those little things. Yeah. Like, because of the chaos that happens externally, it's about us reflecting internally and using that spiritual detective and finding what sits right for us and what helps us move forward with ease, because that's what it's pretty much about. Life is, life doesn't have to be challenging, and it doesn't have to be, it's definitely not running in the field of daisies and skipping and singing songs. It's not, but it's about there to challenge us and make us grow and step up and reflect, and how can we serve others, and how can we serve ourselves, and what's the best way forward in this. And it's just about, life is about lessons and moving forward.
And saying, look at what I've created for myself. Yeah. This, there has to be a gift in here, because as a spiritual detective, or as a soul, why on earth would I be in a situation that wasn't for my highest and best good? And so it's to get out of your head of thinking, oh my gosh, this is a dreadful situation. My partner's left me, or I don't have any money, or my business just fell apart, or whatever that is. It's to say, wow, look at this. This is interesting. There's the gift. I may not see it right now. The gift will show up. It's when we fight it and think it's all happening to us, as opposed to, no, this is the flow that's happening through me because I authored this, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that's the key piece about this idea of being the detective, is I am the author, the player, and the director of my experience. Yeah. And sometimes that can feel burdensome. I can go through suffering. It's like you just said, this is certainly not about burying your head in the sand and saying, oh, maybe it'll all pass if I stay here.
Well, you can do that, but sweet cheeks, it ain't gonna, that's everybody out there, I'm saying, it ain't gonna last long, and it's gonna get worse and worse and worse. And the more you put that blanket over your head, by goodness, you're gonna suffocate.
Yeah.
and you're going to get hot and sweaty and sticky, and yep.
Absolutely. So that's the key piece, is to face it head on. It, like you say, when we face things like that, it passes, right?
Yeah.
Things that we run away from keep chasing us, but when we face it, sit there, go, oh right, this, what's happening in this act?
Like, yeah, and it's cautious too, and it's not pulling in your old external stories of, oh, my mum said this to me one other time, here she is going again. It's like, well, she may be going again, but actually let's just stop and reflect and just go, okay, well, how's this serving me, or how am I going to get through this, or what's the best way forward of this? You don't have to look at your old patterns at that time. Just get what you can through it, and then look at your old patterns and resolve. Because carrying that baggage, is incredibly heavy.
It is. But that's a really good point, because I think that sometimes we do recreate certain situations to get different nuances of the learning. And so for our head to start saying, oh gosh, here it goes again, or here's this person acting up or speaking out or doing whatever it is that upset us the last time, if we just go, oh, isn't this interesting? I've been here before. What's the new part?
Yeah.
See how much more easy you can ease into that, and I bet you if you started doing that, the situation would dissipate way faster than if you sat there going, oh my god, this is dreadful and I know exactly how it's going to go play by play, because you really
and it won't go play by play. But if you think it's going to go play by play, it is going to go play by play. But if you just go, that's right, and that's that's that manifesting very quick, and it is manifesting very quick without you even knowing what's hit you. I
completely agree.
And it doesn't, and to me it doesn't matter what tools you have in your toolkit, because we've all got tools in our toolkit, and it doesn't matter what one you pull out, as long as it works and resolves it, and then you can move forward with ease.
Yeah. And to your point, that's why I think that there's so many different approaches and tools. And I'm always learning new ones myself still, because something that works.
Why would you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating. It is. And to your point, you said this earlier in our conversation, Deb, that one tool is not going to fix everything. One tool is not going to work on the same situation each time either, because you're going to be different. And so it's to just, it's to trust you, for myself, I do know and have a complete trust that I will be drawn to the tool that I need at the right time.
Yeah. And that's a, I'm going to say a brave thing, to just have that faith or trust, or like, I don't even know I say faith in it, but to have that belief that, the certainty. Yes. To have the certainty that it's going to get resolved. And that's the key stuff, to have that certainty that it is. You a year ago, if I said ABC to you, you would have reacted differently to now.
Yep.
If I said ABC to you. Yes. And even 2 days ago, if you've had little sleep, there's chaos going on in your world, your train feels like it's derailing, and I say ABC to you.
I might burst into tears.
Or I might not even get to B and C. Exactly.
Exactly.
And so I think we have to recognize that we all have a past, and we've all got things that can come in, but it's not only our past, it's our interactions, our external world around us, like our eating, our sleeping, our friends, our environment, all those things that can spiral us and spin us out. But it's us having I'm going to say rod, like a stick that's in our spine that allows us to be standing up true with our shoulders back, and, our fulfillment of who we are as a person, and our belief in that. And that's what keeps us strong to whatever chaos is going on around us. And that's our spiritual detective, to actually believe in ourselves and have certainty that we've got this. No matter Absolutely. What gets thrown at us, we've got this.
We've got this. I love how we're on the same page. And that's because I say that all the time. I've got this.
I've got this. I've got this. I've got this.
But I loved what you just said. I know I'm interrupting you, but because I know we're kind of running out of time here. But I know that I love what you just said about the rod on your spine and that shoulders back, claiming this is me, this is my life. Do you know what it is? It's claiming sovereignty. That's what we are doing.
Yeah.
Our spiritual, this idea of being a spiritual detective is kind of like sitting and peeling off the layers, watching where you get triggered, where you know how things interact. But and I said earlier that we all have the birthright for unconditional love. But that is, in essence, that's what that you know, the upright spine, the shoulders back, the standing straight and regal, that's sovereignty, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And this one's been coming up a lot for me recently, of that. In essence, that's what we're all being called to do as we up level our game, as we step forward into these new times. Then we are being called upon to claim our own sovereignty.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it really lands and sits. Yes, it's within me. I love that.
Yeah, and it is so. This is what we're kind of suggesting to our listeners, is to check in. Where are you claiming your right? Where are you selling yourself short or allowing yourself to think, oh, it's too hard, or getting triggered or upset?
Where are you jumping on other people's train to be part of their carriage, instead of actually looking at yourself and going, what's important to me?
Exactly. And that's a brilliant question. So what's important to me, and how do I feel about myself? Very, very crucial door opening questions to really get that insight that's already sitting there within you. You know, all too often we get caught up in I like what you're saying about the crazy train. It's like, yeah.
We know the crazy train. Yeah.
Time to
crazy train that can derail at any time.
So we can all stand up and pull the emergency brake and go, wait a minute, is this my train? And if it is, you know, just make sure it's at the pace that's right for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's that this is like groupthink and just questioning, are these my beliefs? Are these my aspirations? Are these my intentions? Are these my goals? Are these is this path I'm on aligning with what I'm called to do at a core level from my heart?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is going to do a great, generating great questions for people to let us know. These are great questions. Let us know what sits right with you. If you've got something going on, you're welcome to private message us or throw it into the comment section and let us know what's really going on, and you know, let us know how you're resolving your crazy train stuff.
Yeah. And if you haven't joined us we have a Facebook group where you can come and interact with us, ask questions, ask these questions that we posed, or give us some feedback. How is this going for you? And then before we wrap this up, where would you put yourself at on a scale of 0 to 10, Deb?
Well, I've now just generated a lot more work for me today. With my pen and paper, my biro, and my pen and paper, to do a lot more reflecting on my last week's activities and who I am as a person and where train rail. So I'm going to say, I'm actually going to say I'm a 5, because I've moved up on the glitch that I had earlier.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm going to say 6. I'm going to say 6 because I've moved definitely up from the glitch earlier, but the things that I rated as highly, I'm going to go back and reflect internally and go, are they true? Or is this just my ego saying this is where I'm at? Awesome. And looking at what's really going on.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good. So you've come up to a 6 from a 4, which is good.
Oh yeah, I would 4, that's right, yeah.
I would say that, see, I told you to remember. I put myself at a 7 to start with. I would put myself at like an 8.5, Because similar to you, whenever I have these conversations, and you know, things just land into my head, and sometimes they're meant to be shared, and they're because somebody listening, that was what they were meant to hear. But a lot of them too is oh, I needed to hear that too. So it's I think for me the question is that question is this really mine? Do I need to and just I think that's an ongoing question that we can all really use to make sure that we don't get stuck on somebody else's train or stuck on somebody else's thinking, because that's not what this is about. It's like make sure that you can always get off anything that's not working for you.
Yeah, and I know when I started the call and I rated myself on my numbers, and there was a couple of things that I was thinking of, and they have, when we've talked, I've gone back and I've popped them into my mind. I've gone, oh, that's something that's unresolved. Right. That's something that's unresolved. So the beautiful thing is it's unwrapped my gift, and it's unwrapping little revels, and the sellotape. We call it sellotape. I don't know. You call it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Okay, good. Fuel. The sellotape's done to peel back, so it's ready to be unraveled, because I've asked the universe to help me unravel that. From this call today.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Well, this has been a good one. We may need to come back and do more layers of the spiritual detective piece. I love the Pink Panther. The Pink Panther. Well, thank you very much, listeners, for hanging out with us. Thank you, dear Deb. I so love our conversations.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It's definitely unraveled thought processes in my mind. So thank you. And thank you, listeners. And do let us know how you go.
Yeah. Much love. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.